I got one for you today. Second episode of the week on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Jody Shelley is going to join us in just a little bit. We'll talk about what happened with Zach Werenski and plus get into the whole Detroit situation. Some other things happening. He was just over at the Danny Gallivan tournament in Halifax, one of your favorite stops. But I also have a rule change coming up in the Western Hockey League that I want to get your opinion on. And we'll do that after the conversation with Jody. So don't let me forget.
Okay. By the way, are you doing this show from your garage?
I'm doing it from our bunkie. Our bunkie.
I mean, the masks have been replaced by boards.
Yeah. You got your stand-up paddle board.
You got your stand-up paddle boards there.
Got my floaty right here, Parent Island. The water, yeah. I'm actually the computer is situated on the propane stove that we got hooked up. It's quite the operation here.
On behalf of the management of 100% Hockey, I apologize for getting in the way of your holiday. I do. I apologize. And
Shelton Beach, the Pacific Ocean is about maybe 80 yards away.
No, the Pacific Ocean is 4,000 miles away.
Sorry, the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is right there.
I mean, and go ahead, say it, Northumberland Strait. You have to say
Northumberland Strait is right there. The bridge, I can see the entire span of it right there.
The Confederation Bridge.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm old enough to remember
13 kilometers.
I'm old enough to remember when there wasn't a bridge. And it used to be a huge controversy. When are they going to build a bridge to Prince Edward Island?
What's funny is they did construction on the bridge this summer earlier, and they had it down to one lane, so there's delays, and people were all put out because there's delays on the bridge. I'm like, you used to wait for the ferry and have to go take the ferry across. Like, it's only a 3-week inconvenience, folks.
Okay. Now, tell me. After we did the show on Tuesday, and next thing you know, within 24 hours, we hear that Steve Yzerman will be replaced as general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. Did you think it was a fake thing?
No, I thought that there was a possibility of a change. Maybe the timing is odd, but he's staying on. Like there's still a relationship there with Chris Ilitch, staying on as a special advisor, but they obviously trusted him to get them through the draft and free agency, and are going in a different direction. My query about the whole thing is: does it have to do with the playoff drought, or does it have more to do with fixing the Dylan Larkin situation? And I'm leaning towards Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then that means that ownership sided with the player and not the manager.
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that's a bad message. That is a bad message, Daren. No, because I agree with Steve Yzerman on this one. Is that Dylan Larkin, is not the linchpin of what the Detroit Red Wings are about. I think that people have made too much of Dylan Larkin as a player. And I think we saw that at the Olympics because he played the right role on that team that he is in the NHL. And so I think that's a if Chris Ilitch sided with Dylan Larkin rather than Steve Yzerman, that is an awful message. I'm not saying I think
you're being overly simplistic.
Well, that's my job. Well,
but there's obviously a difference of opinion between Larkin and his camp and Steve Yzerman, based on the exchanges we've seen the last couple of years. The playoff drought certainly plays a role into Dylan Larkin's decision, and he wanted a fresh start, asked for a new hockey home. Without Steve Yzerman, with that taken off the table and that relationship removed, I think there's a possibility for Detroit to salvage this. And if they can, it gives them a better standing to end the playoff drought with somebody else coming in that can add the pieces that need to be implemented.
You think
Detroit's I don't look at this as a bad thing for Detroit. I think this is an opportunity for Detroit.
but I mean, so basically, we're going to take the 9 years that Steve's been there and just, I mean, has he built enough
you
of a
add on
foundation?
to it, but you might be more aggressive. A little more just by fixing the Larkin thing, if you can. And I'm not sure that it can be, but I'm optimistic on that side. By taking care of that, it gives you, with that contract and the term left, gives you an advantage.
The best thing about the Larkin situation is the fact that he's 5 years and it's an affordable number under the situation. But a lot of it has to do with what the player is, and I think you have to ask the question. And I think I would have said this whether Steve Yzerman was the manager or not. Is Dylan Larkin a good captain? Is Dylan Larkin that good a player in order to put this team in the playoffs? I think
he needs help. Everybody needs help.
Well, but that's not the way it's been framed. I don't think it's been framed that way. And so if he needs help, then that reflects on what the Red Wings are and how deep the Red Wings are, and what the issues the Red Wings have. See, to me, I'll be honest, this reeks of an argument. This reeks of an argument between Chris Ilitch and Steve Yzerman. And at one point, Steve says, "If you don't like what I'm doing, get rid of me." And that's what happened. I don't have any inside knowledge, but I think I know Steve Yzerman well enough to know that he believes in his
firm.
convictions.
Let's call him firm.
Well, he believes in his convictions. On a good day he's stubborn. On a bad day he's stubborn. On a good day he's a genius. And so you look at this. For them to make this change in the middle of July just makes no sense from a practical point of view.
When will you made the change?
I would have made the change the day after the regular season ended, when they didn't make the playoffs. And so you do what other teams that were in that scenario, the Toronto Maple Leafs, as an example. Or even what Nashville did, announce a search, and by the time the Colorado Avalanche disappear, Chris McFarland's in place. This makes no sense to me. If you're talking about, do you think
it's Larkin motivated or initiated?
I think there's probably 10 things, and I think Larkin's one of the 10. I really do.
I think Larkin's the most influential part of it.
I'd like to know how many season tickets they've sold. I'd like to know where their revenue expectations are. If you're a modern day owner, and I believe Chris Ilitch is, look what they've done. They've done a magnificent job at Little Caesars. Magnificent.
Except they've never had a playoff game there.
Except they've never had a playoff game there. You know darn well that organizations go out and get a feel in the marketplace, whether it's private polling or whether it's indications of major aspects of your season seat holders about where they think the team is. It would drive Red Wing fans nuts to see that the Buffalo Sabres had as much success as they had. It would drive them nuts to see the Ottawa Senators go to the Stanley Cup playoffs for 2 years in a row. Look at the changes of the arch rival Toronto Maple Leafs have made, coach, manager, players, in the short period of time since John Chayka has taken over. Detroit has not done enough.
Easy on the Chayka Toronto comparisons.
Well, no, I'm talking about the fan base. I'm talking the fan base looks at it and says, well, they're doing this and they're doing that. Mm-hmm. You know those things happen. People look at the grass is greener. And so you look at what's happening around Detroit in the hockey world. Yeah, look what Billy Guerin has done in Minnesota and continues to do in Minnesota. So Chicago. Chicago goes out and gets Bo Byram. Why can't the Red Wings go get Bo Byram? So there had to be something beyond, that Steve's just had enough and he's leaving. That's not the case at all. It can't be. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think Dylan Larkin plays in Detroit next year? Now?
No. No,
you think he
I
still
don't.
sticks to it?
Well, I
The
don't
trade
want him
demands?
there. If I'm the new manager, I'm walking in and saying, I don't want you, man. You don't want to be
I'm the
here.
exact opposite. I'm the exact opposite. And
If
I'm the new
I'm putting
manager,
my fingerprint, if I'm putting my fingerprint on this organization and changing the culture, I'm getting rid of guys that don't want to be here.
what do you think the new manager's edict will be? Because I saw a couple of reports that say they have a decision to make: a retool or go super aggressive. Like, you can't retool. What are you retooling?
Well, I think you have to look at that roster when it's healthy and say how many of those 18 skaters and how many of the goaltenders are people worth investing in. The first, if I'm the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings and I take over, I'm making one phone call my first day, one phone call, and that's to Winnipeg.
For Connor Hellebuck.
For Connor Hellebuck. I'm saying, Kevin, what do you need, big boy? What do you need? He's a Michigander. He's already made it cryptically known that he would like to play in the United States, and another one of those, Olympian dinner nights. And
Well, that would mean you could solve Dylan Larkin, I'm sure, with that move.
Dylan Larkin's not going to Winnipeg.
No. I mean, that facilitates him returning. Like, makes him happier. What you're saying.
Well, yeah. But again, I'm not sure I want him. I'm not sure. I mean, this goes to creating culture and building culture, and the question becomes:
well, the culture is going to be different now because there's going to be a new person in charge. Like the shadow of Steve Yzerman is large,
huge,
and that's removed. So there's going to be a new vibe around the rink.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't have any inside knowledge. I just look at this and go, whoa, something strange happened on the weekend.
I like your theory.
Let's have brunch at the club. Let's have brunch at the club, Chris.
Yeah. And it ended up, maybe we need our own room.
Or separate bills, separate bills, please.
Exactly. Well, Doug McLean had one of those famous lunches at the club once, and they had separate bills. One of the great stories. Jody Shelley's in the green room. Let's get into the National Hockey League broadcaster with several different outlets, plus his summer travels, a little bit of fun, and a whole lot of information. Coming up on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament.
Us against the world, boys.
To the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
As promised, a whole bunch to get to as we bring in Jody Shelley, a broadcaster with the Columbus Blue Jackets, as well as Amazon and TNT. Where else do you work?
Well, I can't leave out NHL Network. That's a great rep, but I still have that door open. Formerly FanDuel.
There's a Sonic out in Easton that Jody works on weekends from 6 to midnight.
I don't think that's a sponsor, so
he's on the roller. He's on roller skates. So.
Whoever will have me, Daren. Whoever will have me.
How is the Danny Gallivan Memorial Golf Tournament?
Really good. It's out there in Halifax, right in the city at Old Ashburn. It's for cystic fibrosis. And, you go to golf tournaments and sometimes it's rushed. And sometimes after there's 190 golfers there. Everybody, it seems to be half the group stays. Everybody stays. It's a great presentation. Yeah. It's a really heartfelt tournament that they run there in Halifax, and this was the 42nd year. I was thrilled to be a part of it.
This was the first time in 16 I haven't been there. Maybe I was just avoiding you, but that's that.
I heard it was the most fun too.
Well, between Jody Shelley and Jack Armstrong, they are going to have fun, and I guarantee you. How many songs did Jack sing?
Oh, I didn't see him perform at all. It was Rick Bowness was there, which tried to catch up with him, but he's a big celebrity in those parts. It was really well done, but no songs, John. Maybe he just pulls them out for you.
No, he's the Jack Armstrong's the master entertainer. He sings everywhere. So, and it's amazing that they can get. It's amazing they can get Rick off the lake.
Yeah, that's a big commitment. 30 minutes from the lake. He was there though.
Hey, for those that have never been to Halifax or Nova Scotia, give us your favorite parts. What do you look forward to, Joe?
The people there are incredible. I mean, you can go there. I met a guy who was traveling by himself, and he was there for 2 days, and he was just like amazed at the warm reception of the people. I mean, you're right on the Atlantic Ocean in a protected harbor. The waterfront now is totally different than it was 6 years ago, the last time I was there. It's a destination now. And if you catch the right weather like I did, you got to head to Chester, Nova Scotia. I mean, it's our Nantucket, I call it. Oh, wait, you guys call yours in PEI the Hamptons, right? Or
a little bit, but we can share. We can share it.
We'll take Nantucket.
And the other thing, Jody, is, and you know this from living there, playing there, I don't think there are more knowledgeable hockey fans in the world than in the Maritimes. And I think they love to talk about their hockey. They really do. It's amazing.
And it's the Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, the Boston Bruins are the top three, but you're seeing like Blue Jackets jerseys, and they're knowledgeable and very detailed and very proud of their own. They're all huge followers of the local players that have come through there.
And give them credit when the game starts at 8:30 local time.
That's right, especially in Newfoundland. When I played in San Jose, my aunt and uncle are from. They live in St. John's, Newfoundland. So that's 7:00 or 7:30 in San Jose. It's looking like 11:30, 12 in Newfoundland. So they caught
4.5 hours.
Few minutes of it. Yeah, that's a long way. Big commitment.
It's like watching an NHL game in Europe.
Yeah, that's right.
That's basically with the time change. Hey, let's get into Columbus. We got what's happening in Detroit as well. But the Zach Werenski journey to get to staying with the Blue Jackets for this year, and then we'll see what happens down the road. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I was a little bit, I think like everyone else, shocked by it in a way because, the Blue Jackets, it was all quiet, and then it happened right around that draft time when, that was something to look forward here in this area. And I was surprised because we didn't hear from Zach. Social media, I thought it really wasn't, I didn't believe it at first, and then I realized a week later, Zach hadn't said anything, and, that's Zach and his agent, and that's fine because I kind of felt like it was something that, you look at the Marner situation in Toronto, you can always look back at something and think if they had done something and identified that he wasn't going to be there, like any player, like they're doing with all these players now, and have that brief conversation. And the player simply says, I don't know, in 2 years. I don't know. And then that conversation turns to, maybe if there's something better out there, I would see. And then it turned into its own animal. That's my perspective. I don't know any insight on it, but I could see it happening with a player. You kick tires when you're at the Olympics with other players in different organizations. I don't care where you are. At a wedding now, this is wedding season. You kick tires on how things are, what the coach is like. Just different intangibles and the intricacies of each team. And sometimes guys get interested, and you're seeing it much more as public knowledge now. And I think that turned into it was a huge thing here in Columbus. And for Zach and Don to come out and make the statement, it was a sigh of relief here. And, we know it doesn't mean it's going to be a long-term commitment next July 1st. We hope it is. but also for the best for Zach, because he's going to put himself in that position in 2 years, and then the best for the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, it's business at the end of the day. I just hated to see how it all was right in our face right at that time for those young players.
Jody, do you get a sense that, and I'm trying to be polite about this, if the Jackets were a winner, this conversation would not have occurred?
I think so. I think you're looking at a player, when you look at Zach Werenski, last April, May, he won the World Championships for the Team USA. First time in over 90 years they'd done that. Then he went and won the Olympic gold in the Olympics in February. I think when you get a taste of winning, I think it's something that is in your veins and it changes you for wanting more. And, I've had conversations with guys that have won about this topic, and that's exactly what they think. It's the winning environment. You're approaching the age of 30. You're over 10 years in your career. When he came in, he won the Calder Cup with the Cleveland Monsters right out of the University of Michigan, where he was having some success for the short time he was there. Things were on the right track. And then I think when you come in year after year, last year they just missed the playoffs. This year they just missed the playoffs. I think maybe these players, these top-end players, do have the power to put organizations on notice, like Connor McDavid and how he signed that brief contract. I think it's, my perspective, the league is changing in that sense a little bit, because now the GMs, it's a tougher job with the GMs now, because the agents have a platform to really drive their business from social media, put out inside scoops and rumors, and put their players in a position to have power. And I think GMs have to be way ahead of what's happening. And you look at what's happening in Montreal. I mean, every Maritimer that I talked to there last week when I was in Nova Scotia, John, they're so proud and they're relieved that this young core, and now Demidov's locked up, is locked up long term. They have certainty in what they have, and the players have certainty around them, and they've been now deep in the playoffs. So I think if you're a part of that, and I always go back to the Detroit Red Wings, and listen, I have a lot of respect for Detroit, Michigan. It's a great place, but everybody went there, and everybody wanted to be there when they were winning. Same as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They have the pedigree there, and I agree, that's a real thing.
So the other part of this, I just to follow up on that. The one thing that Montreal, it's almost a different animal, but they have done a good job of reinventing their culture too. Because culture is more than winning. Culture is more than winning. Where do you think the culture is in Columbus?
I think it's changing now with Boone Jenner is leaving this organization. He's been the captain. I think that this is an organization that unless you have a star that's driving it, the coach has to drive it. And I only say that because when John Tortorella was here, he was the person that everyone asked about first when we traveled around the country and up in Canada. How's Torts? They wanted to know what he was like, what the impact was. Millard got to live a little bit of that, and he might have not been the first guy. It was probably Marner, Eichel. When you have those guys that have the identity of the team, I think that's an important thing in here in Columbus right now. Does Zach Werenski come in and grab this and be that vocal leader we saw 2 years ago when Boone Jenner was out? I thought he really did a good job last year, too, of grabbing it himself and stepping up as a leader. But I look at those guys, and I look at Nick Lidstrom in Detroit in those days. He was a quiet leader. And I think that right now, as we sit in the offseason, I know what the culture is expected here in Columbus, and it's a hard-working, give it every shift, in your face, hard to play against team that is expected to win. But I do agree there's a step to be taken, and I think that I learned it when I got to Philadelphia, John. I left Columbus, went to San Jose, where we should have won everything, but the pressure wasn't high. I remember when I was in Philly, we had a loss after a game, and I went to the rink and I was stunned at the atmosphere. It got to 2 in a row, and you knew something was going to happen. Maybe the walls were going to be taken down in the building. That was the feeling, and that's when I really felt it first, and I feel like that is something that needs to be driven internally.
We know the importance of next season for the Oilers when it comes to Connor McDavid. Would you put Columbus in that same situation with Zach?
I think you would be naive not to do that. I don't think you just say we're building, we're looking to the young guys, which of course they have to take a step. Matejchuk on the back end has to take a step. Sillinger, right. Johnson. The urgency needs to be stamped in them now. And I did briefly talk to Rick Bowness. He's a guy that's hands-on and vocal. He's on these guys now in the offseason. And, just making sure, having good conversations and just, being that kind of mentor for them in a sense. And I think that's important. And but I would say yes. To answer your question directly, I would say yes. And I think if you look at any of those teams that there's 31 of them that didn't achieve the ultimate success, but just making the playoffs and seeing the Flyers do it here in the Metro and getting to the second round and see what Montreal has done in the East. Toronto's going to be better. New York's going to be better. New Jersey's going to be better. All these teams have to take a step at least to keep pace to be in that race. And I think that's what makes it harder for every team.
By the way, Tortorella could only take 12 weeks of Millard, which is why Tortorella left Vegas. There's only so much. There's only so much John Tortorella could take from Daren Millard.
I understand. No one talks about that.
No, nobody mentions it, but it's true.
I thought he showed great patience with me. I thought it would end after 11, but he did.
I enjoyed your interview with him. I enjoyed.
By the way, I think everybody shows great patience with you. So,
yeah, you're right. Like the conversation that I had with him as we got into the tenure with Vegas, that showed a totally different side of him, one that you would know very well, Jody.
Yeah,
but he doesn't let out very often.
He doesn't, I think he's processing a lot at times, and he's I love him in a media scrum because I remember Pronger used to control the media scrums, and it was fascinating to watch. And if you didn't have a good question, you wouldn't get a good answer. But Torts, it's got to be a good question. It keeps everyone on their toes. And,
he makes people better. He makes people in our business better.
I agree. I mean, there are times when guys grumble because, in the playoffs, he's very tight-lipped. And
there.
You do have good questions that are unanswered there, and I get the frustration in this business. But you get to know him personally, and he's a very caring and I think he's a unique and special guy.
So how long is it, since we're talking Torts, how long is it before you think he's behind a bench again? Because he obviously wants to coach. He wants to coach.
He does. Yeah.
Early 2027. We're going to see him on TV again, I would predict, and then slide off again into an organization that kind of needs a little Torts.
Wow. There's a couple of good options out there right now. Butch Cassidy and John Tortorella, oddly enough, both former Vegas Golden Knight coaches in their most recent tenure. But teams have. They can go young. They can go to the getting the coach's bump from a veteran guy.
And I think it's critical as to what you're coming off of. Obviously, it's critical. It's some rooms need it, and it sounds like in Edmonton they understand that the entire room needs, a change in how they approach each and every day, and they're going to get it with Mike Babcock. And if you're coming off a guy I remember Gerard Gallant was here. I was with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think Doug McLean had just stepped aside and back to presidency and GM. Gerard Gallant comes in, and I said when he stepped in, I said, if we can win with this guy, man, this is amazing because he's a player's coach. He gets it from our perspective daily. And then after that, in came Ken Hitchcock, who was a wonderful coach, one of the best coaches I've ever had detail-wise. But he was on guys, and he rode specific things, and we needed it, and we got better with it. And so, that I saw here in Columbus when Torts came in, we needed a culture change, and he did exactly that.
Do you think that's changed, though, Jody? I mean, we do, as Daren talked about, we do see a new type of coach coming into the league. I mean, when you look at Dan Muse, when you look at Spencer Carberry, what they're doing. I would even throw in a Marco Sturm into that, but I think Marco Sturm's a little old school. But we seem to go back and rely on these guys that are in their 60s. Mike Babcock, John Tortorella, Pete DeBoer's not 60, but Peter Laviolette. I mean, Are they supposed to be short-term fixes?
Well, they get short-term success, right? They get immediate impacts, all those guys.
If you don't have a guy like Carberry, who to me, Carberry is, he's a combination of both. He's highly intelligent. He uses all of his resources. His post-game chats to his team after a win, he includes everyone that's done something. I really like how he drags everybody into that atmosphere. I think it depends on the situation, but I do like the change. I think you have a young guy ready, a guy that's earned it, a guy that understands the organizations and the expectation. I don't think you just go off the grid and pull someone into your organization and expect him in that situation to make those changes. We tried it here in Columbus with a couple young coaches who came in and sometimes young coaches have all the answers and it's a different league. I think there's a good combination of understanding the old school, but I think it's imperative to understand these new young players because the information they want, the details they want, they still want to be pushed. They still want you to hold everyone accountable. I think that's critical. And if you can't find that combination, then I think you have to go to the old school who you know what you're getting in some of the things they're bringing.
And Vegas has gone that path with the old school and now the new school with Ryan Craig coming in with his first job.
Yeah, I think that sets it up perfect for him. I think he understands that organization, the players, the team, the coaches now he has around him, the management. He understands what Torts had success with and didn't. He's ingrained in that organization. I think that's a really, really strong move by a guy we had. He's a guy who was a captain of the team here in Columbus. I think when they won the Calder Cup, he played for Bednar. Guys rave about how he's just a professional and he's a well-respected player, and I think that's a key for that position. He has to have the respect of the room. I think he has it.
Were you still playing when Manny Malhotra was playing for Columbus?
Oh, yeah. Poor Manny got stuck on my line a couple times deep in the roster.
So then he had to learn how to coach, huh?
He had to.
That was well done, John.
I asked him a lot of questions, John.
What do you expect? What do you expect out of Manny in Vancouver?
I expect great things. I mean, and the combination with the upper management there, new guys coming in, they all have the same attitude. Manny was a detailed player. First of all, with how he treated himself as a physical specimen, and he was also a player that Hitch really took a liking to Manny because his details, his questions. And he recognized, I think he's publicly quoted in this and saying that I knew Manny would be a good coach because he was very detailed and very concise with his daily routines, gets people. And just to see, that's a fascinating story with his son there being drafted to. It's a team that, Adam Foote tried to do what he could with that roster and the situation he was in. But expectations are set high. You can tell right away. And I think that's I'm excited for Manny. And I'm not surprised he's had success already. It's a fast track, but I think he's with the perfect group. And that's the other thing with the coaches. You look at Berube in Toronto. And, the first year, it wasn't really Craig Berube playoff-style hockey team. And then last year I thought they tried to make it more of a Berube-style team. And, it just wasn't, that wasn't the ingredients of the team that he had in St. Louis. So I think the young guys and the details and the coaching for Manny there in Vancouver, I think that's going to be a great fit.
When you're working a game, do you get more intel out of guys that you used to play with that are head coaches now?
Yes. Yeah, it's the trust factor. It's the trust factor.
You should.
And you don't it's stuff you can never use, and sometimes not use. But it gives you the temperature of what not to say as well. Like you don't want to go there because you read it, but you understand it from the other side. So you just you guys understand because you guys got more information than probably anybody around the league.
But you can frame a story on the broadcast with the information that you gleaned from that morning session or the coffee you had or even the dinner the night before.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I don't remember a lot from those dinners the night before, but the coffee definitely get the information, frame that.
Do you like doing the on the bench interviews?
I do. I like the challenge.
Because some guys don't. Some guys don't want anything to do with them. Nides doesn't want anything to do with those things.
I love them. I like the challenge of actually your brain has to kind of go in half, when that under 10 and it's coming up 3 minutes from now, you got to think, okay, what happened this period? What am I going to ask him? And I tell guys always that struggle with it. I'm like, we all just want to hear the coach talk. You don't have to be the genius if nothing has happened. You can always just say, what do you think of your start? And
what are you seeing? Yeah.
If he takes you somewhere, then you can maybe follow up with something good. And I enjoy that. It's always an adventure too to get in some of those benches. You have to go over the boards, then you have to open the gate, and the players are just sitting there kind of looking at you like, what are you doing? And then you're like, excuse me. And then you step on the assistant coach's foot and you say sorry to him. And then the coach didn't know you were coming. So the next thing he's like, oh yeah. And you're like, okay, so a total inconvenience, but I do enjoy it.
You ever have a coach yelling at the refs?
Hold
on. What'd you say?
I said, did you ever have a coach yelling at the refs where you've got to, you're standing there going,
Yeah, and I'll go there. I'll say, we saw you not pleased with that call. What happened there? And then they'll sometimes, and the fear is they're going to say, beat it.
Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. You just said the viewer would rather hear from the coach than the announcer? Are you an announcer actually saying that?
Just want to hear him say something. Of course.
Most announcers are like asking the 45-second question, and then you don't have time for the answer.
Just hear him talk. Yeah.
Guilty. Let's take a break. We'll come back with the Detroit angle because I want to get really into the weeds on this thing. It's 100% Hockey, chatting with Jody Shelley with Millard and Shannon.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
Hey, Jode, what was your first reaction when you heard the change was being made in Detroit?
I was surprised because we've been through the draft, we've been through free agency, and it's kind of the down days of the summer, and now they've decided to move along. So that tells me there's been maybe some other work done away from Steve Yzerman's ideas in those moments, or this is, it seems to me like a strange time.
Does it revolve around Dylan Larkin? Do you think that was what pushed it over the edge? And I wonder, does this open the door for Dylan to walk back the trade request?
Jeez, I mean, I don't know. I understand the posturing outside of that intimate relationship with player, agent, general manager, president. It's supposed to be behind closed doors. Maybe it did. I don't know. My thought was playoffs, young prospects, maybe those moves that needed to be made at the deadline to give those up. I've never been a GM. The work that goes in to get these players, covet them, groom them, understand what it takes, and when they're ready to be in the NHL is all something that Steve Yzerman would have done, obviously. And you look at some of the pieces that he has, not only in the NHL, but those players down in Grand Rapids. And, maybe you think from afar that there's players to fill some of those voids in that team. And that's a good team. That's a team that had good goaltending. They've got a great back end with Sider there leading it. I love Larkin in Detroit. I can't see him anywhere else. But he's got a long-term deal. I didn't mind Steve Yzerman's approach, kind of fed up with what he sees probably around the league with these players that are doing this, and also within his own organization. So, yeah, it's. I didn't go there, Daren, right away, but now that you bring it up, you'd have to think that has something to do with it.
Hold on, you think they're a good team?
I do. I like them. I like the way.
So why? So why are Ottawa now in the playoffs? Why are Buffalo in the playoffs? and the Detroit Red Wings can't get there.
Well, it's probably, I said they were a good team. They're not a great team. And I think that the team has had a lot of changes with coaches recently. Like Todd's done a good job there. But, you've had some moments where it's all about the prospects. And I don't think they should have missed the playoffs, even going back to last year. They were in the race and then they fell off in that after the outdoor game. That was 2 years ago. And I just think the additions that need to be made, I think there's a proactiveness with these organizations, and some of them I think have waited a little too long to make the moves and separate for some of these players that other organizations want. I
think the fascination for me, Jody, on this one, and you touched on it right at the top, is the timing of it. Yeah. I mean, we're in the middle of July. Teams have already set what I would describe as their editorial tone for the next year by what they've done at the draft or what they've tried to do in trades, and then what they've done in free agency. And now the Detroit hasn't.
Detroit hasn't because of the Larkin situation. That hasn't been written.
But you don't think it's too late?
Now that I think about it, I mean, if you were going to walk in there as a general manager, you, Daren, or I, and what an opportunity in that organization. I mean, the cupboards are full. You have a situation you could probably fix or hope to fix. That would be your first priority, and then you go from there. I think it's. I don't think it's too late. I think it's a great opportunity. So what I said first is kind of what we all go to. The plan, but the plan starts now for the new GM, and I think that gives him a lot of runway here to get in and kind of get things momentum built towards the season. With the priority of Larkin, he's got 2 months to work on that right away.
First priority would be fix that and maintain that asset. Number two, boy, it offers up the opportunity to be aggressive based on what you're following up on.
Exactly. I think that would be a great opportunity.
First of all, I mean, I think you have to define what Larkin is.
He's a second-line center.
He's a second-line center. And so why is a second-line center dictating the future of a franchise?
There's not many teams with a second-line center, I'll tell you that. And there's barely any with a first-line center.
Well, hold on. You don't think, John, that a second-line center can make contractual demands or where they want to play? That it has to be held for the elite?
I think that's another story, contractual demands. I think that, what we've seen since the Olympics and the American teams, they must have been great dinners in Milan, eh? All these guys, 10 guys telling everybody else how great their lives are, and the other 10 guys sitting there saying, my life's miserable. It must have been great dinners.
You nailed it.
but that appears to what's happened, right? It's
back of the bus conversation. It's the conversations at the back of the bus.
My grass is greener than yours, baby. And come on board, and we'll try to have some fun. I just think that I think that the problem is that Dylan Larkin is going to be overpriced, and I think any team that's asking for Dylan Larkin is not going to overpay for Dylan Larkin, and Steve's going to, or the new guy, is going to want more than most teams are prepared to shell out, and there's the issue. I mean, you cannot sell 50 cents on the dollar on Dylan Larkin. Whether he's a first-line center or a second-line center, you can't. And so that puts the Red Wings in a really tough spot.
To me, what really you got to fix the relationship.
Well,
you brought up culture. Culture.
It goes back to that culture line. You're right.
It's the most important thing in an organization is culture. And I think Bill Zito, when he went to Florida, recognized his thoroughbred was Barkov. And everything was going to roll around the way this guy operated as a number one center, one of the best defensive centerman forwards in the league. And he went out from there and brought in culture pieces that would follow Barkov. That was a luxury that he recognized right away. And I think that we can all learn from other Vegas, to me, the culture. To me, Jack Eichel, I didn't know what he was. I got to talk to him a few years ago in Vegas. I was amazed at how much of a hockey nut, how detailed, how many questions he had for me, how much time he had to talk about the league and just loving the game. I didn't know that about him. What an asset to pick up to help drive your culture. Stone is, of course, the one that drives it and does it at a high level, but so many good pieces. Pietrangelo. Those are the pieces that every team has to look for, and they're not easy to find right now.
Chatting with Jody Shelley on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. We're following this situation with Jason Robertson in Dallas. Do you have a number on what you think he's worth if we were just going to give him what he's worth salary?
I would say $11 million, but then I see some of the salaries that have come out, and Leo Carlson, he's going to have a handsome couple months here. Kaprizov, of course, raised the bar. I think it's an $11 million player. That's where I'm at. And if you want to give him 12, go for it. But it's a guy that can score goals. But what else are we getting? What else are we getting with Robertson? I think that when you get up into the 15, 16, it's got to be more pull you out of your seat, that second, third gear, dynamic in a lot of situations. And I don't think that he's that player right now. He could be eventually, but not right now.
Well, if you were the manager of the Dallas Stars, you'd be losing Jason Robertson.
I would make it worthwhile. I think I would try to, and of course, Jim Nill is one of the best general managers in the league, so he's got a full handle on it. But he's in a tough spot. Obviously, a spot he understands probably more than most GMs because he has been around so long and he's seen probably every situation.
How far over do you think the pendulum has swung in favor of the players and their role in influencing where they play?
I think it's all the agents, Daren.
Yeah?
I really do. I think the pendulum for the platforms for the agents and, really pushing this salary cap increase narrative, which is real. I think it's swung in their favor. But I also, Kaprizov signs that deal, and the next one to sign was McDavid. And he didn't go that way. He did what he really did probably what the agents and the PA didn't want him to do because they want to see those salaries that average go up. So I think they're trying to get it up there. We'll see. When Austin Matthews, Zach Werenski, these guys that have collected trophies in the last 5 years, when their contracts are up, we'll see. But I still think that these general managers do have with long-term deals and a pretty good number. It's hard to turn down, I think, $90 million because you want 110, but we'll see.
I don't know. Daren would turn down the 90, but
I don't think
I'm confident. Hey, I'm confident in my talents.
One more on Werenski. What do you think the fan base in Columbus will be when he skates out at the home opener? Will they be mad at him? Will they cheer him? I mean, he won the Norris Trophy. But it has been so public, and I mean both sides have done a good job of backtracking a little bit. But what will the reaction be of the hardcore Columbus fan base who aren't asking for trades themselves? They're in Columbus and they're committed to the Blue Jackets. I just wonder what they're going to do with Zach.
I think it'll be strong. Because I think once we get back into camp and Zach is in front of the podium and the mic is in his face and he answers the questions and we hear it from Zach's mouth, I think it'll be back on track here.
All right. I really do. I agree with you too. And he vetoed the trade or the swap with Dallas, as far as we know. So he chose to stay. When you do examine it, though, he had a role in staying, and he exercised his power, and I think that's a compliment to Columbus.
Yeah, I think it is. I think that Zach's statement. I read it, and I was very happy to hear what he said.
What did Bones have to say when you talked to Bones? Is he calmed down since the last time we saw him?
I think he's anxious to get this going. I think he put himself in a spot here. I loved when he came in last year because we all did. gave himself 12 games, had a 3-week break, kind of a reset for everyone, come back, finish the season, make the playoffs. That didn't happen. Game 82, he had a reaction with how the team played, but that was more of a situation that he sees things that need to be cleaned up and goes into the offseason after the player meetings. And now, he took that personally himself, that he put himself out there. I think he said the right things. I think he said what had to be said, and now the talking's over. And that's really, knowing Rick Bowness and knowing these players, I feel like they're all anxious to get back and dig in on what this means.
Glad you got a chance to hang out in Halifax. Talk to you again when we get around training camp time. Thanks, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Keep up the great work. I love the show. Thanks for having me on.
Jody Shelley and 100% Hockey, back with Millard and Shannon right after this.
Face-Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face-Off tournament
Us against the world, boys.
to the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face-Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
Jody's moving today. So those watching on YouTube, he's got the Columbus jersey and the Rangers jersey behind him. Those they might be off the wall already. He's just going to turn around and take them up, packs them up. He's moving down the street. That's impressive, because I'm not, with all due respect, I'm not doing this on a day that I'm moving.
Well, but not only that, you might be doing it on a day that you go use your paddleboard.
Yeah. I'm a good paddleboarder.
Are you?
No, actually, I'm terrible.
Are the girls good? How are the girls?
I kayak and the girls all paddleboard, but I'm just too nervous about falling in and sharks.
There's no sharks on the south side. Okay, they're all in the north side.
Yes, there are. Yes, one goes up every August. Every August, she swims up. I watch her on O-Search. I have a shark tracker.
That's the name of your next podcast, Shark Tracker, Daren Millard.
Shark Tracker. Bella's over on the Magdalen Islands right now, and I'm just waiting to see if our girl's on. She goes up the straight and then around Gulf of St. Lawrence and up. Anyway, here's my thing that I was plugging earlier.
Okay.
So the Western Hockey League for the preseason next year is going to experiment with a rule in overtime where you can't leave the zone. And I love this because we see it all the time with the resets, like the soccer tactic, where you kick it out, reset, and come back.
We call that, by the way, we call that world football now. We don't call it soccer anymore. World football.
Good luck to Argentina and Spain in the final.
Because Messi is a regular listener to our podcast.
Yeah, I like Martinez, the goaltender. The guy's a giant. Wears number 23, like my buddy Martinez. The idea that you have the puck in the zone and you can't leave, or else there's a whistle and the face-off goes to your own zone and you can't change. So there's more whistles in overtime. That's what's going to happen. Let's get in front of that. That's one of the consequences. But that whole strategy where you're going to have to make a play and maybe you turn it over, and there's more possession changes in overtime coming up. Do you like it?
I don't mind the rule to get rid of the resets that happen. We used. You remember watching the World Hockey Championships in the 60s and 70s. Well, I do. And the Czechs and the Russians used to always do these massive resets back to their own blue lines that would drive you nuts. It just wasn't in our DNA.
They did it.
Even 5-on-5, yeah. So I don't mind it. Here's my addition to the rule change. Forget about the face-offs. The whistle blows. The linesman picks up the puck. He throws it into the defensive zone and gives it to the defensive team, just like the mites would do. You throw it behind the net. Go get it, boys.
Yeah. Then you create a race for a puck, and
no. The defensive team has to get the puck, and so the offensive team can't go after it. They have to go get the puck, but they have to bring it. If it's going to cost more faceoffs, I'm out. I don't want more faceoffs. I want more flow.
Well, that's going to happen. There's going to be more faceoffs, but they're trying to generate or come up with a plan to influence more changes of possession, and this is something that everybody will be watching in the Western Hockey League exhibition schedule to see what the impact is and what are the unintended consequences that naturally surface.
It will be fascinating to watch. I do like the fact that they're trying to get rid of it. I always wondered if there was a way to, once you gain the zone, that you can't go back into your defensive zone. So the center red line becomes a bit of a factor. But it'll be.
I've got a bit of experience in that, in the sense that there's a 3-on-3 league, the mini rinks. In Toronto, in Newmarket, that we used to play in.
That was West Jarvis, right?
Yeah. West Jarvis and Mike Gardner owned it, and it was actually built for kids, and because kids would get more touches, and then adult leagues just took it over, and so it was 3-on-3. And once you gained the blue line on 3-on-3, the center line became the ozone. And it was great. It was very effective with it. So maybe that's the end result as we work our way through some of these things that you can settle on. But I mean, what happens if you take it past your red line? You still got a face off there.
Then the whistle blows. The linesman gets the puck, throws it to the other end of the ice, and says, "Go get it." That's what happens.
And then you're going to have who's got the best arm on the linesman? Who's the best skipper of stone skipper?
Yeah, that's right.
Whipping it down there. So just thought I'd let us know your thoughts on whether or not people listening, watching the podcast. Do you like this idea that the Western Hockey League's experimenting with? Certainly the National Hockey League will be a keen observer with it. Or do you have a tweak to what the Western Hockey League is going to offer up? Let us know through the YouTube chat or wherever you listen to the podcast. We love our interaction with our audience. At least I do. John's a bit of a curmudgeon.
No,
you don't
fact,
like the mean comments.
No, I'm used to the mean comments. But one of the guys actually on social media sent me a picture of Maple Leaf Gardens in 1964 when black and white television with the red checkered line at center ice. So people are listening. Yeah.
And I didn't know that's why there was the checkered line.
That's right, because you couldn't tell the difference.
You educated me as to why there was a checkered line instead of a solid line. But I always do say the checkered line was in the middle. Do we really need to know that's this? Be told that that's the center line? It's in the center. But
it depends how tight the camera is.
I don't want to talk down to the audience. Of the 60s and the 70s.
Oh yes, I'll remember that. I won't bug you until next week. I won't bug you until next week now.
Okay. Well, you can bug me. I don't mind. I might be on the golf course with Doc, or I might be on the golf course with Mike Roberts, or going up to Mill River for the Boys and Girls Club tournament this weekend. Randy Compton and his friends from Novus put on a great event there. So
I don't know. I checked the mailbox again yesterday.
Yeah. Well, with the cutbacks at Canada Post, it probably got lost somewhere.
Yeah. No invite to the Boys and Girls Club. I thought I had a good time.
I'll talk to some people about that.
Tell you what, my old buddy Bill is the mayor of Port Colborne. He's there every year. Yeah. Say hello to my buddy Bill.
He's one of the best. He brings a great crew every year up in Mill River. Talk to everybody next time. Thanks for joining us on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.